I'd like to call the supervisors back to the front table, please. Okay, I'd like to reconvene the meeting. You've been waiting patiently over there, so please come up and state your name.
We can hear you on this mic.
Is this thing on?
Pull it down. There you go.
Oh, okay. Hi, my name is Chloe Kinsella. I have lived in Calaveras County since I was in 3rd grade. As a young person in our county, we face a big challenge to find job opportunities in our community. Whether it's a summer job or something part-time during the school year, any chance to have a job nowadays is a real big plus. Many of my friends either have to leave the area to find a job, go away to school to look for opportunities in other areas, or simply sit and do nothing at all. Approving the entire project will create up to 60 jobs in our community. This will provide a reason for us young people to stay in Calaveras County, to be near our families and friends in the community that we love. Please approve this project because I heckin' need a job. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello. I'm June Jones, and I'm here today to support the Board of Supervisors' approval of the entire Trinitas project for the following reasons. Calaveras County needs new business. Approving the entire project would mean injecting $39 million of capital construction dollars into our local community. Doing so would stimulate both labor and material suppliers in the local area in order to create jobs now. The regulations and plans and laws of each community do change with that community's needs and opportunities. Not everyone is in agreement when changes need to be made. I urge the Board of Supervisors to recognize our need for employers and tourism and vote for those changes. Long-term payroll dollars and jobs. Approving the entire project would create up to 60 full-time jobs within the local economy. These are jobs that are desperately needed by those living in our community. Trinitas would be in the top 10 employers in Calaveras County with an estimated payroll of $1.5 million. Tourism is the lifeblood of Calaveras County. Approving the entire project would create an agritourism destination in the west end of the county in an area that lacks an identity, which we definitely lack our identity. We only have 10 hotel rooms. This project would add 30 rooms to the area lodging pool and create a destination for overnight travelers in our county. Murphy's has Ironstone, and the west deserves to have Trinitas. Please recognize our needs and vote to approve this entire project. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, I'm Melody Barrett. I live on Miles Road between Hospital and Adams, and I've lived there since 1988. And my husband and I moved from Stockton to rear our 5 children, later to become 6. I have been a registered nurse, and the last year I became totally disabled, so I get to be home all the time on my 10 acres. First of all, I don't want development in my area, nor do any of my family members. Second of all, our water quality has been very poor in the last 2 years. It is now sandy and full of sediment. I have my own little grove of olive trees, organic garden and chickens and some other livestock. The way that this has been managed from the beginning is disingenuous at best, and if it's railroaded through, then it's again the good old boys network at work in Calaveras County, as always. This is very upsetting to everyone because we don't want this. The ones that do want it are the moneyed people that, you know, it's something that they can afford. And here we are without money at present, and we barely saved our home from foreclosure since I lost my job and became disabled. We've been hanging on by a thread, and I know any jobs that this brings are temporary and transient in nature. So all these golf courses are closing in other areas. You know, El Dorado Hills is not doing well, and these things need to be taken into consideration. This is not a be-all and end-all. This is just for a select few, and that needs to be recognized, and it's also blatantly illegal. And that is my own personal opinion, and the opinion of my family. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, what was your name again?
Melody. Thank you, Ms. Barrett.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Infacino, and I am facilitator of the Calaveras Planning Coalition. This project raises different questions for different people. For some, the question is, does a long-established ranching family have the right to raise livestock in the quiet enjoyment of their land and without the constant threat of losing their water? For some, the question is, will Calaveras County develop in areas served by real infrastructure, or will it put its faith in unfunded future pipe dreams? For some, the question is, how much effort should Calaveras County make to try to extract mere compliance from an operator before it simply revokes his privilege to operate? For some, the question is, does Calaveras County respect its people enough to give straight answers to their sincere questions? I myself am looking for just one answer to three questions today. Do the rules apply to everybody? The answer is yes. The answer must be yes. In Calaveras County, is it finally time to put this divisive project behind us and focus our time and energy on the real tasks of economic recovery that unite us? The answer is yes. The answer must be yes. In Calaveras County, will the supervisors join the ethical upwelling from citizens, staff, and planning commissioners unable to support this project? I sincerely hope that the answer is yes and that the time is now. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Infacino.
Good afternoon, Chairman Thomas and supervisors. My name is Doug McKee, and I live at 8186 Warren Road. I had 3 points I wanted to talk about today, and the first is this constant discussion about the Williamson Act. We feel, and I think the evidence will bear it out, that we've complied with the Williamson Act and there is no violation, so there should be no mitigation. We met with Jerry Howard back when we first started this project, and he told us that we could put as much pipe in the ground and grow as much grass as we wanted, because that's what farmers do. And that was borne out by your assistant county counsel. She met with him in the last year or two. But she added that he also said that we couldn't play any public or private golf while it was in the Williamson Act. And we agreed. We didn't. The golf course wasn't completed until after the Williamson Act was done. So we couldn't have violated the Williamson Act. We couldn't have played because cattle were still grazing on the property. So there was no violation of the Williamson Act. The second issues I'd like to raise is that I'm a neighbor and a farmer and also a father-in-law. I farm 3,500 acres and I have 2 wells on my property. The golf course has not affected those wells, and they're immediate to where the golf course is. And in fact, if you look at all those wells that surround it, those people, none of their wells have been affected, the immediate ones. If you go out, somehow they're saying further away their wells are affected, but yet 13 wells right around the golf course aren't. I found it strangely illogical. Now, I'm not saying that they're not, but we also had evidence here today that people say water is unique. And water flowing underneath our property is unique. It's there. And if we don't use it, San Joaquin's going to use it. So if you mitigate, nobody's going to benefit. If you say, we can't use the water, San Joaquin will use it. I'm stunned when I hear people say that the golf course should be torn out and returned to cattle grazing. These people clearly have no knowledge of the agricultural community in this county. We recently had Ken Churches perform an analysis of our family's ranch to determine the potential income for livestock operations. Ken, as the county's agricultural expert, determined that the gross income we could make is $36.70 an acre. Our family would literally go broke if we returned property to cattle grazing. Ken Churches has written 2 letters, of which I'll give you copies, of support of the project. In the first, he said, I view Trinitas as a welcome addition to the ever-changing agricultural community, not the rural devastation that Mr. Mayhew seems to be describing. In his second letter, Ken Churches said, and I quote, agritourism destinations create opportunities for hundreds of small businesses in the region, as proven by Ironstone. Trinitas will have a similar impact on western Calaveras County. I believe that the entire agricultural industry will benefit from this environmentally friendly operation, end of quote. I don't think you can get a better agricultural endorsement than that. I would also like to address those that say the project will impact the schools, the roads, law enforcement, and fire protection. Jim Frost, the superintendent of public schools, clearly supports this project and stated so at the Planning Commission. If this entire project is approved, it will generate over $250,000 in permit and tax fees to the school. In today's economy, how can we turn away one dime and go to the schools? The roads have been fully mitigated in the EIR, and we estimate that we'll be spending $350,000 to $400,000 on Hospital Road in front of our property there. The deputies, and if it isn't approved, Hospital doesn't get fixed. That roller coaster will continue to be a problem.
Mr. McKee, I apologize. I was kind of making notes here and was not watching the clock here. I know that you're representing the family, but in all fairness,
Yep.
I apologize for letting you run over. But do any supervisors have any questions of Mr. McKee? Thank you very much.
Fellow member, chair, members of the board of supervisors, my name is Dan Hendricks. I live in San McCallum Hill, post office box 198, San Andreas, California. 3 issues I'd like to bring up. First is Audubon. I have a letter from this past year clarifying the purpose and intent of Audubon International versus Audubon. I'd like to give this to Marita Calloway so she can read it, and then if I can get it back, I'd appreciate it.
You want to give me something? Off the other board?
The reason I'm giving it, for information to the audience, I retired from county planning in December of 2001. My last position was with the Calaveras County Planning Department. I'm the person who wrote Exhibit E, which is the August 9, 2001 letter advising the NMEs to come down to the planning department and talk about your project because you've had a notice of violation or possible violation of construction of a golf course without permits. Now, Exhibit E was in the packet that went to the Planning Commission.
Dan, could you please look this way when you talk?
Sorry there.
Thank you.
The Planning Commission packet that was distributed on the 19th of March included this Exhibit E, the letter that I wrote. I'm bringing this to the attention is that the purpose of this letter is like a did you know letter. The NMEs did not respond to the planning department directly, to my knowledge. It went through a series of of contacts, people talking to other people. By the time I'd retired, things had happened. I'm really surprised to see that this project has gotten this far. This is just amazing. The consultants, the attorneys, all the background research, the 2 hearings before the Planning Commission of which I listened to. It's amazing it got this far. The project should have not been allowed to go ahead back in 2001. This, after the fact, trying to make it work is like fitting a square peg in a round hole. It's a very difficult project for your staff to make legal after the fact, to make sure that we don't get sued. That is the county getting sued for CEQA compliance issues, because the opportunity for mitigation is passed. Anything, including the open space conservation easement, is just a Band-Aid to the real damage that has already been done. Before I took the job here, I was the planning director at Angels Camp from 91 to 93. As planning director, I was processing the Greenhorn Creek subdivision, plan development, and the golf course. That's it? Okay.
No, you have 30 seconds. Keep on.
Oh, thank you, Russ. That golf course went through all the hoops. Same with Saddle Creek. The Saddle Creek golf course was under preparation at the time I was in Angels Camp. That went through all the hoops in terms of permitting, environmental review, analysis, archaeological, the whole 9 yards. This project did not, and this is not the opportunity to waive that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Dan.
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Evans, and a lot of you already know me in the audience and up here. I've spoken before, and I need to change my speech because I don't want to repeat anything that's already gone on. I am for the project. To reiterate just a couple things and add something new. I've lived on Hospital Road for 16 years. I'm 3 parcels away from the edge of the golf course, and they have never bothered me. I am a part of the CCW water monitoring project, and my levels are going up. I have excellent water, and I always have. You know, we talk about growth, and that was something that I knew would happen when I bought in that particular area that many years ago. It's the quality of the growth that I think is so important. And I'm no expert, but I know what I like, and I have a dream like everybody else in this room, and I thank you for looking into all of the issues that you have to look at. Something I would like to point out is Stockton spent a whole lot of money on building a hockey arena and a baseball field, and they're not making much money off that. That did not come from a private party. The Kings, you look at those games that the Kings are playing, and they're not very full in those stadiums. It's all the local people that are coming to those. It doesn't bring a lot of people from out of the area to grow and bring a lot of money into the community. Here we have a gift from the Nemi family to where he's put up the money, he has set this thing up so beautifully, and we stand to make millions of dollars off of this project for our county, all the citizens, and all the future citizens. So I plead with you to please vote this in its entirety. Thank you.
Any questions? Ms. Evans, I'm particularly interested in the exact location of your home, your holdings.
I'm actually on Hospital Road. My 5 acres backs up right to it. The entrance, oh, you mean to point it out on the course?
Yes, please, if you would. Okay, so you're north of the project then, so, okay. Thank you very much. I was just curious about that.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Hawes. I live at 7204 Hospital. I'm about 4 miles to the north of the Trinitas project. I'm here to speak to you in favor of the project. We've lived in Calaveras County for about 8 years, and I've watched this debate unfold for the last 2 or 3 with great interest. Seems to me a lot of emotion in this conversation, and I don't envy the position you are all in making this decision, because by definition, half of this room is going to be upset with you. But I think as I look at Trinitas, I see a very attractive opportunity for the county. We are blessed with wonderful natural resources in the county, and I believe that Trinitas represents the best use of those natural resources. Now, the prospect of a dry well frightens me like it does everybody. I've had my well surveyed twice since the Nemes installed the golf course. It produced 100 gallons a minute when it was drilled and we bought the house. It still produces 100 gallons a minute. The water level is at the same place. Recharge rate is at the same rate. I have experienced no deterioration in water quality or availability, or availability as a result of the project. So as I look at this project, it represents all the best. Somebody earlier commented that we would need some unique attraction to bring people out of the county to play golf here. And I believe this represents that. It's the same reason people go to Pebble Beach or other traditional golf destinations to play. I believe the Trinitas represents the fine qualities that we can use to establish a great brand in the western end of the county, much like Ironstone has done in the Murphys area. I encourage you all to approve this project in its full at your earliest convenience. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Carlson. I presently live in Smith Valley, Nevada. I'm a retired general engineering contractor. I'm also a Stockton native with family ties, including the Hospital family. I presently have 435 acres on Hospital Road that was owned by Mr. Pete Hospital. Would that make him a developer? I don't think so. I purchased these properties at first as an investment and later winter feed for my Nevada cattle operation. In 2006, I decided to sell my cattle because of the increased cost of transportation from back and forth from California, Nevada, and back, and the lack of my summer grazing in Nevada. Since then, I have been leasing my ground for pasture to local ranchers, and for now, I intend to continue doing so. I am in support of Mr. Nemes' orchard and golf course project. CCWD's proposed water project would bring water to western Calaveras County and would give farmers crop options other than cattle. This project would also supplement existing ag wells. Some ranchers' economic needs causing the sale of property is usually inevitable in today's trying economy. I believe the local ranchers would welcome additional options for their land other than cattle grazing or just selling out to make ends meet. This water project, if followed through, could be very good for the area. Despite mistakes by both the county and the landowner, this entire project should be approved. Thank you.
Mr. Carlson, like the previous speaker, sir, would you mind pointing out the 435 acres that you were mentioning? Can you show us on the map where
Yes.
that's located? We appreciate it.
I have an 80-acre parcel right here that's half in Calaveras County and half in San Joaquin County. And I have 3 100-acre parcels right here. And I have a 50-acre parcel, I think this one right here.
And you don't have any monitoring wells on your property, but have you encountered any fluctuation in levels or water quality?
I only have one small well on our property.
Okay.
On this property up here, we have one large pond, approximately 8 to 10 acres. And this year, I think it's half full.
And the pond is fed by a seasonal stream? Or?
Right.
Okay.
A lot of the water comes off the existing ranch that the hospitals have during their main. And they have a ditch that goes around the base of a big mountain, and all that drainage water flows into my reservoir, which you can see part of it right there.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your comment.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is June Downham, and I appreciate the opportunity of the board to let each of us speak, those that live in the area that are in favor of the project. Basically, I hear a lot about, I do not want the development. Well, excuse me, I didn't want the development either when I was 12 years old, but we've lived here since 1940. We've seen a lot of development. And the ones that live here, of course, have accepted all the development as it has come in because it has enriched our county. And I think this is a major project that would enrich our county, especially the West County. It's sort of the ugly stepsister of the county. People have actually ignored this part of the county in developing beautiful places like this. We do have La Quintana, but it sort of is encapsulated by Rancho and the La Quintana, housing development. This is a place where the houses are way out, and it keeps everything rural. It keeps everything looking as it did, instead of putting all these lots all the way around it and all over it. And this isn't what they're asking, and this is what we don't want. We want the 10-acre parcels. We want the wide open spaces as it has been developed. The olive orchards were there when I was a kid. 65 years ago they were there. And this is something that has been kept there. Rockabella had that. And this is a development that has totally enriched the West County with old and new. And it makes me smile just to drive by it. I live about a half a mile off Asphodel. And it's a beautiful place into a very dry atmosphere that we have down there. So I'm disappointed in the county and the local government and how they have dealt with the Nemi family. Basically, but not being straightforward and saying, stop the project, you cannot do this. They've let them go from step to step to step. And now we can't stop the project without major consequences. And I would ask you to respect the people that live around the community that have done in favor of this, to accept the project as it is intended in its entirety, to bring something to that end of the county that would bring in the housing, would keep the housing values to what they are, and the houses around there would the houses that are empty that are around there would be sold really, really fast if we had the golf course in, and I'm hoping that's what happens. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Downham. Any other questions? While you're walking past there, do you live on that map?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon. You've had a long day. We've all had a long day. I'm Paula Davis. A couple of you know me. Several of you don't. I live in Wallace and have been a Wallace resident for 25 years. People here have been here longer than me. I have to make one comment. It's not on some of the things I wanted to say, but several people have said we don't have an identity down there, and I have to take issue with that. I have plenty of identity with Wallace, and I love it. I love the area. I've stayed there for 25 years because of the rural feel of what it is. I could have mail delivery to my house, but I'd have to change my address to Valley Springs. I don't want a Valley Springs address. I live in Wallace, and I have for 25 years. So I'm just going to, mostly I have comments, and most of it is directed to the county and the county government. 25 years ago when I moved here, I took over a business that my dad had started, and it needed to be improved. I needed to expand it. So I started asking people as I joined the Area Business Association. I started networking with people, because that's just what I do when I get into an area. So what am I going to do? I want to put up a new building. I want to do that. And what did I hear? I said, oh, don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. You're in Calaveras County. And I'm going, okay, well, that's not the way I work. I don't want to do business that way. But I was just astounded to find that that was the attitude. And I was hearing that from a lot of people. So that's why I'm here today, is to tell you that I'm totally disgusted that 25 years later, I'm still seeing the good old boy system in place. When is Calaveras County going to move into the 21st century and put a stop to the loopholes that these people are finding? I'm tired of the reputation that Calaveras County has as being a bunch of hicks that doesn't do anything to uphold county law. It's not right now, and it wasn't right 25 years ago, for the developers to come into this county and do what they want without putting in the infrastructure to support their developments first. 25 years ago, I remember hearing the excuse the county doesn't want to scare off the developers because we need the tax dollars. Sound familiar? Sounds very similar to what you're hearing today about Trinitas. So, you are our elected officials. You are the Board of Supervisors. You have the choice today, and it's not an easy one, and it's going to be painful, and it's going to be unpopular. But somebody, somewhere along the line, has to stand up and make this county stand up for what it's already laid down on its laws and its law books. So please, please do not pass out forgiveness today and a slap on the hand. It's time to put a stop to the good old boy system now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paula Davis.
I'm Don Winter. I'm speaking on behalf of a neighbor to the Trinitas.
Last name, Don?
Winter.
Winter.
Yeah, just like the season, no S. Dear supervisors, my name is Michael Sayers, and I've owned 30 acres south of the Trinitas project for the last 5 years. I have one residential well and one agricultural well. My wells have been included in the CCWD monitoring program, and I have never had any water issues. I'm an avid hunter, and I've hunted big game all over the world. I've been amazed on the amount of wildlife on the Trinitas Ranch. I've hunted wild turkeys, dove, ducks on the Nemes Ranch. The golf course has not affected the wildlife or the ability to hunt in the slightest. In fact, I have tracked the wild turkeys each year, and their population have actually grown in numbers. My wife and I also own horses and have livestock on our ranch from time to time. The golf course has had no impact on our ability to sustain our rural lifestyle or our ranching activities. Due to the success of Trinitas olive oil, we have decided to plant 15 acres of olive trees. We will be the third neighbor to plant olive trees because of the success of the Neme family. We will be turning non-productive ag land into full production. Those that make the claim that Trinitas is affecting our right to farm or that Trinitas will limit our ag use of land clearly do not understand the Trinitas project. The Nemes are farmers first and foremost. They have found an innovative way to keep their land in agricultural production, and they are welcome members of our agricultural community. We are very excited about the possibility of CCWD bringing a pipeline to the area for ag users. I understand this is only possible if the entire Trinitas project is approved. The pipeline would be a significant benefit to me and my other neighbors who have large parcels of land. I had to be out of town today and ask that this be read on my behalf because I feel very strongly about this project and the benefits it will bring to our neighborhood. Please vote yes on the entire project. Respectfully, Michael Sayers.
Okay, thank you very much for reading that. That was, for the record, that was Mr. Don Winter reading a letter from Michael Sayers. Don Winter.
Good afternoon.
Don Winter.
My name is Roger Gunderson, and I'm a property owner at 8280 Warren Road. And that's on the eastern boundary of the Trinitas project.
Roger, excuse me for interrupting. Your last name again was?
Gunderson.
Gunderson. Thank you.
Scandinavian. My well has been monitored by the CWD for the past 2 years, and I've had no issues with water. And as I have watched this process and how it's evolved, I've seen no less than 3 environmental impact reports. And none of the issues have changed. Everything you've heard today, none of the issues have changed. We're all saying the same things. The static water level in my well has not changed, and there's still a beautiful golf course next door that could be generating revenue for the county, and that's sitting idle. That hasn't changed. But what has changed are the real estate market in our county is plummeting. People are losing their jobs. People are forced to move out of the county to find employment. And some have lost their homes to foreclosure. And obviously families in this county are hurting. What would I like to see change? I would like to see this neighborhood become a more desirable recreation destination that would help stabilize property values and the economy. I would like to see job opportunities created by this project. And I would like to see the Board of Supervisors approve this project today in its entirety. And most of all, I would like to see all the people in this county be able to keep their homes. Please approve the project, save this neighborhood, and save our economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gunderson.
My name is Seth Blanc. I live on 9209 Center Drive. For the record, I did attend economics in college. My mom's watching this on TV. I'm sure she'll be proud. We've heard a lot of opinions today. I kind of wanted just to share a few facts with you. We've heard people talk about people that claim to be experts in the golf industry. Well, the expert that I'm going to quote today is actually the PGA of America. That's an expert in factual terms. So according to the numbers released by the PGA of America on April 1st, 2009, the downturn of the economy has actually led to an increase in golf rounds played in Northern California. Rounds increased 68% in January 2009 compared to January 2008 of last year. Semi-private rounds nationwide, which include Saddle Creek, Greenhorn Creek, and hopefully the Trinitas project, are up 4%. This trend puts Calaveras County in a position to capture this opportunity. Let's take advantage of it. Please approve this project in full and give people of my generation a reason to stay in this county, because my generation is this future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Was your name Sat?
Seth.
Seth, okay. Thank you, Seth.
I gave you this to save time, and I'm just going to read a section of the bottom of it.
Okay, can we get your name, please?
Carol Barsby, and I live in Valley Springs. Trinitas is a project with 39 goals, 51 policies, and 47 implementation measures of Calaveras County. Okay. A total of 137 points of consistency. The Trinitas project is consistent with all the above goals, policies, and implementations that I just gave you. Implementation measures of the Calaveras County General Plan and meets the CEQA threshold for general plan compatibility. I would request that the Board of Supervisors certify the EIR and approve the entire project as proposed by the applicant. And thank you for allowing me to comment, and please read the paper I gave you. Thank you.
Okay. That was Carol Barsby.
I'm Joanna Ottman. I live in Sheep Ranch. I've lived in the county for almost 40 years. And I want to speak to something that goes back to the very beginning of the day. I think it was stated that there are certain issues that can override all the other questions in the EIR. And one of them certainly that's been addressed today is the economic issue. And I have a couple of questions about what the economic issue really is. In terms of the boundary, it's the proximity to San Joaquin County makes me ask how many of these jobs would really be Calaveras County jobs.
Is all the construction going to be local contractors in Calaveras County? Legal people, companies that actually pay all the workman's comp and all the rest, legal contractors in this county? It looks to me like most of the work would be, the building association man that spoke earlier was from San Joaquin County. So in terms of jobs at that level, I really wonder what makes us think they'd be Calaveras County jobs. Secondly, the people coming to play golf, it looks to me like many of them would be coming from that county, play golf, and probably go back to have dinner or whatever elsewhere. I don't know how many of them are going to come up the hill to support Calaveras County businesses. So my question and my concern is that I think the economic issue is a powerful one, especially in a place that's really hungry for jobs, always has been. It takes me back to a project that was 25 years ago when Genstar was going to burn PCBs in the old cement plant, and their number one selling point was, yippee, we'll have 300 new jobs in the county. And that was a powerful argument for people that weren't looking any deeper into what PCBs really are. So I'm just here to state that if the economic issue is the overriding component to override all the other questions, how many of these jobs are really going to be Calaveras County and legal? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ottman.
I'll squat down. My name is Chuck Cantoni. I'm the Board of Directors of Wallace Community Services District. I'd just briefly like to second the notion that Ed Pattison put forward about the work that CCWD is doing in trying to get surface water into the area and also monitoring the groundwater. Wallace CSD is a part of the groundwater monitoring program. We have 3 wells that we're running or monitoring, and we're in active support of surface water to the area. And I think Ed made a good point that CCWD, really the area, needs public and private partners to continue this effort to get surface water into the area. And I think David Hirsch said it well. I think that the western part of the county needs to pull together on this, and I think a project like this will help us a lot in trying to accomplish that goal.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Gene Ogletree, and I live at 8147 Hospital Road, directly north of Trinitas. I'm apparently an outlier from the statistics of, like Mr. Abbott. I have a 460-foot well, which I believe is probably considered a deep water well. And we were getting about 40 gallons a minute when we had to drill the well in 1975. Now we're getting something in the neighborhood of like 12 gallons if it's wintertime. When the pumps go on down at Trinitas, particularly in the evenings, we don't have the problem because we're not using water. But if we leave our drip systems running and et cetera, we have sediment, we have all kinds of problems that we never had before they started pumping. So water to us is a major issue. It's even more overriding in economics, except of course there's only one of me in talking this issue and there. I'll pass out a memo here to make this shorter so that I don't read this whole thing. Water rights, you'll notice in this I'll just read it quickly. According to the California water rights law, all property owners above a common aquifer possess a shared right to reasonable use of the groundwater aquifer. These rights are similar to riparian rights, and since they are correlative, a user cannot take unlimited quantities of water without regard for the needs of others. It would appear the golf course is overdrafting water from a large portion of surrounding parcels. Would anybody like to guess where I came up with that legal lease? That's in the EIR. The other thing is grapes, and I'm not a grape farmer, but they've come up 3 times here about grass and sod taking less water than grapes. When the first meeting we had here, the gentleman mentioned it, said that he used so many million gallons and it was so much more. So I called Ken Church's office, and Ken Church wasn't there. He had an intern there. She referred me to both Stanislaus and San Joaquin County, and they both laughed at me. They said nobody put our water rates with drip irrigation system. They couldn't afford the electricity to get the water out of the ground. Overhead sprinkling doesn't exist. I don't know. I'm not an expert. That's what two county people said. And with that, I'll call it short so you guys can get out of here.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
You said that I believe that you drilled in 75, had 40 gallons a minute of clean water, and that over time or at some point it became more like 12. Was that sudden, or was that an escalation over the intervening years?
We realized as it started happening, well, we wondered what was happening. And then we realized it was happening because they started up the back. We didn't even know what was going. They started up the back side of Trinitas. And we got less fun. Then and slowly as the water went around. And then, according to my well driller, which was Ron Gearing in Rockford, all the little rivulets, if you want to call it that, going as they close off because there's no water, they don't open back up. And that's the end of the water sooner or later. And we'll all be in great trouble if we lose our water.
Can you point your property out on the map over
Yes.
there?
For whatever reason, I got a blue spot on it. Nobody's interviewed my wife. I didn't interview her wife. We never talked to anybody. Oh, CCWD's not monitoring my well. Is this south? This south. This is where I live.
Okay, I just thought you bought another piece of property. Just hang on one second, please.
One moment, just on a point of personal privilege. As I understand it, we have two key staff that have to be gone at 5, and I'm looking at our time and in relation to the original goal stated by the chair of being able to finish all matters and deliberations by the end of today. I'm wondering whether we might revisit that, or if the question whether the chair would like to revisit that to at least allow us to complete the public process and the public hearing today, but not try to squeeze in deliberations into a truncated time frame. I think it would not do justice to the complexity of the issues before us.
Okay, I have to admit that I was not being serious about finishing all the deliberations and making a vote and everything. I just had hoped that we would be able to get all the comments and so that we could close the public hearing and come back at a future time. And we do, of course, have the time constraints of the staff that have to leave. Is it true that you are leaving at 5?
Right. Both Janice and I have separate commitments that I actually need to leave by about 5 to 5, and Janice at 5.
So my suggestion would be that we commit ourselves, even if it's till midnight tonight, to complete the public process and all the input that anybody here wishes to make.
I don't think so.
You can leave, Maria.
Well, the alternative would be to hold the comment open to the 28th, but I think people came here to speak, and I would want to hear from everybody who did come with that intent.
Well, it's only 3:30 now, and there's 5
Okay,
people in line at 6.
When I asked at the onset of the meeting for a show of hands of people that wanted to speak, there was a room full of people. How many are remaining here that would like to speak? So, well, it's only half a room full of people. I think that we probably in the next hour we can take care of those, or hour and a half we can take care of all those comments if we stick to the 3-minute rule. So we'll just see what happens. But we will be losing these 2 people at or about 5 o'clock.
My turn?
Just stand by. And of course, we have other things on the agenda too. Can
Go
we
ahead.
proceed?
Yes.
All right, sir, sorry about the delay.
No, not to worry. My name's Harry Graham. I'm proprietor of Mountain Ranch Natural Products. This is to talk about something we haven't heard about today, which is olive oil. Over a year ago, I was starting to run low on oil, and Martin at Sanders Market, I said, yeah, I have to get a hold of Ed Rich and get some more olive oil. And he said, I just came by and gave me his card that is producing olive oil down in the West County. I said, okay, I'll give him a call. And I called him up and I said, I need a 55-gallon drum of olive oil. And he said, I don't have that, but can you make soap? And I said, yeah. And he said, I'd like you to make some soap for me. I said, well, okay. And I got some samples. I worked at it, and I finally got a decent product. And I've been making soap for him. My production's been going up. I've started making body butters and lotions. They're well received, and Mike gets out and markets this stuff. It's a real treat for me to go into the Calaveras Visitor Center and see our products on display there. And I think we're going to see more and more of this. The olive oil is pure, it works well. I haven't used it on my salad, but I use it in the soap, and I use it in the lotions and body butters, and it's getting raves. And I hope we can continue to do this sometime in the future.
Anybody have any questions of Mr. Graham?
No, but I have the lotion.
Oh, you do? Do you like it?
Yeah.
Notice how well it's soaked in? Oh, sorry.
You have to have a Calaveras glove.
Good afternoon again. I'm Steve Fairchild of Sierra Nevada Recreation Corporation, past president of the Chamber of Commerce, the Visitors Bureau for several counties, the Golden Chain Council. I love business and the tourism business in particular. In fact, tourism is one of the only industries that don't seem to be impacted by the downward trends we've been having. We're up about last year we were up about 27% above the year before. This year we're running about 20% above last year. Seems to be going up, not down. I'm a member of the National Cave Association. Throughout the United States, that seems to be the trend. Tourism is going up. And that's the wagon I think maybe we ought to be jumping on. I'm particularly interested in this project because a lot of our visitors come from the Sacramento area. That's either west or east or south. And they're going to be coming down through that way. And anything that draws them in this way, I'm happy with. Particularly golf courses. I have two or three, really two very close to me. What I find is that not everybody in the family golfs. They drop off the person who's playing golf, and then they go looking for something else. Mom, children, whatever. And so I get lots and lots of people who are waiting for them to get finished with their golf game at Moaning Cavern and California Caverns, and of course at Sutter Gold Mine and up at Black Chasm National Landmark. I deal a lot with government in the process, by the way. That's a national landmark. I deal with the Park Service. I deal with Amador County. In this county, of course, I have California Caverns, the Moaning Cavern, Calaveras County, and then in Boyden Cavern in Kings Canyon, I deal with the Park Service, the Forest Service, Department of Agriculture. I deal with the county, and I have quite a bit of experience with dealing with government agencies. I'm a little bit irritated at the fact that there's a lot of rock throwing against the Trinitas project as having started out somehow wrong. And then if you assume that, well, they actually, according to the website for the Williamson Act by the state, it says here that, in order to find out what to do with the Williamson Act, contact your county planning department. That puts the onus on the county, and of course there was a lot of ridicule for the county, but it's not. This Williamson Act started in 1965, was thrown in, did not have definitions in its law. It was very, very difficult to interpret.
Mr. Fairchild, excuse me, you're running low on time, so.
Okay. Anyway, it turns out that there were airports in Southern California and golf courses all over the place. Things popped up. Lots and lots of argument. And then in 1971, to settle the whole thing, they started the Department of Conservation, and the person who runs it, their job was to interpret the law. It's almost like a foreign language. It needs to be interpreted. And every year since then, there's been 2 or 3 amendments that went through. There's something like an equivalent of, I think, cumulative of about 48 separate new laws and amendments that go every year, not all those in 1 year. But the problem is that even large counties don't have anybody on staff who really understand the law, because nobody does. The courts keep changing it. It's just it's a moving target. And to fault the county for not, doing everything exactly right, and if they didn't, no one really knows, is really not right. It's not the county. It's not the people who are trying to do things. It's the lousy job that the legislators in Sacramento did. And so, not your fault. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fairchild.
Hello, I'm Robert DeMarco, and I own Top Quality Insulation and Fireplaces in Valley Springs. And I have a legitimate business, and I pay all my workman's comp and my liability insurances and everything. I've known Mike Nemi for probably 9 years, and probably have insulated and put fireplaces, garage doors, and probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 of his projects, his homes and stuff. I believe the man, and I'm for the project. I believe he's going to stay and hire local people. I once hired 21 local people, now I'm down to about 7. So I think anything to help spur the economy is a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Hello, my name's Marianne Rodriguez, and to just give you a little history, my husband and I purchased 5 or 6 acres, and we're on 7824 Southworth Road, which is just about 2 miles north of the project. And when we purchased it initially, we had 22 gallons per minute, and the water was very clear. Probably about maybe 2000, we took it in for an analysis in Stockton, and we were told it's beautiful water and we should market it and sell it. That's how great it was. Well, around 04, we started experiencing problems. We didn't have enough pressure. We could no longer water our lawn. The water was dirty, brown, with a lot of sand in it. So the bottom of the tub would be all sandy and gritty and brown. So it was horrible. We called Abbey Water Well. They came out. We spent $6,000 for a new well. It did nothing to fix the problem. We're 360 feet down. So the problem wasn't fixed, and then Abbey Water Well says, oh, well, now you need a holding tank. That'll be another $7,000. Well, we didn't have the money. We still don't. We have a daughter at UCI and a son at Berkeley, and that's our priority right now. So we have to suffer with dirty brown water. And I also want to talk a little bit as a mom. You know my well problems. As a mom, I've raised 3 kids here. 2 have gone from kindergarten and graduated from Calaveras High School, and I have 1 in 7th grade now. Been very happy to raise them here in Calaveras County. And believe it or not, they've loved growing up here too. They've never been bored. There's lots to do. One of the things that my kids love to do, and my husband and I like to do, and neighbors like to do, is we like to walk the loop. We call it the loop. And you see moms out there in the morning walking, and we ride our bike around the loop. And the loop goes from the corner of Southworth and Hospital, goes around, comes back up the old part of Southworth, and people ride their bikes. I've seen horses. Well, that's going to change. I wouldn't allow my kids or myself to go out there if the Trinitas project goes through, because I think it'll be very dangerous. So that will severely impact, I think, our lives out there. The other thing is there's bike tours that go on. I don't know how often, but I see them probably once a month. Anybody know? And they come just in droves along Southworth Road, and they just droves. So I don't know if they'll still be able to do that. My other concern, I'm an occupational therapist. I have a
Rodriguez.
private practice in Stockton. 1 minute.
No, you're almost out of time. Can you wrap it
Oh,
up?
well, you're supposed to give me a 1 minute warning. Okay. Well, I'll now speak as I'm representing the American Occupational Therapy Association, AOTA. I'm serious. I treat people who have brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, fractures, amputations. So let me tell you, where's Jim Frost? Is he here? One child gets in an accident on that road, has a brain injury, a head injury. Is it worth it? I don't think so. There are 5 90-degree curves, 5, and 3 60-degree curves right in that area. I guarantee you there will be a severe accident. My piano teacher went off the road, my tutor for my son went off the road, my son's gone off the road, my daughter's gone off the road. I know so many people on those 90-degree curves who have gone off the road. Hello, anybody else? You know, it's inevitable. There will be death. And then what are you going to do? Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Muriel Zeller. I'm representing myvalleysprings.com. I won't be speaking for the entire 15 minutes, but another member of our organization, Colleen Platt, would like to speak as well. The question of whether or not to approve the Trinitas project is, for me, a moral one, based on our mutual responsibility to protect and preserve the lives and to preserve an intimate and life-sustaining relationship with the land. A gated community of 13 luxury homes, an 18-hole golf course, lodge, clubhouse, and associated amenities is not morally responsible when created on rangeland and adjacent to more rangeland and scattered low-density rural residential development. We have enough golf courses in the county. This project does not represent a balance between tradition and change. In fact, it mocks the tradition of place by calling itself agritourism and building a golf course on an agricultural preserve. The location is far from any community center and lacks the necessary infrastructure. It will be a magnet for further development, and it does not respect the natural and built environment into which it has intruded. Trinitas ignores the zoning, the neighbors, and the tenants of sound land use. Water has never been the primary issue for me in opposing Trinitas. It is simply a bad idea, the wrong project in the wrong place. However, I am disturbed that the Calaveras County Water District appears to support the project in furtherance of a pipeline to service the Trinitas project and surrounding agricultural land. I fail to see how the pipeline will serve agriculture if the Trinitas project is approved, as its approval will result in the conversion of more agricultural land to urbanized uses. Consequently, the pipeline itself will encourage urbanization. If CCWD wants to create an additional need for water so they won't lose the water to which they are presently entitled, perhaps they should focus their effort on community centers. While the availability of water is crucial, the use it or lose it argument makes creating a need for water the primary determinant of land use. As our population continues to grow, there will be increasing pressure to put more and more marginal lands into food production. This is how a pipeline could be of genuine benefit. The argument that the foothills' poor soil quality justifies its urbanization is increasingly unfounded. The foothills provide agricultural commodities, biodiversity, and watershed protection. High-density residential development near community centers with shared open space is not simply an option, it's a necessity. We cannot continue to denigrate rural landscapes by allowing their conversion because a golf course is preferable to a pig farm. This is one of the most inane and insulting arguments I have heard in support of Trinitas. If people are too cosmopolitan to live next to a pig farm or the poultry farm that exists down the road, then perhaps they shouldn't be here. What happened to the right to farm? The land is zoned for a pig farm. It was gratifying at the March 19 Planning Commission meeting to hear that at least 2 of the 4 commissioners present clearly understood a decision on the project must be based on the general plan, applicable laws, ordinances, regulations, and standards, not opinions about the beauty of the golf course or its purported benefits. Commissioners Poole and McLaughlin voted not to certify the final environmental impact report. They also opposed the zoning change from agriculture to recreation based upon incompatibility with the general plan land use designations for the project area, the inadequacy of the final EIR, and violations of the county code. In particular, I applaud Commissioner McLaughlin for encouraging equal treatment under the law in Calaveras County. Legalizing the golf course after the fact would weaken the foundation of the law by implying it is not applied uniformly. The county speaks to the public through the county code. The public depends on what the code says in the reasonable expectation that it is for the fulfillment of the county's mission, which is to provide service, infrastructure, and leadership necessary to advance a safe community, maintain a high quality of life, and to protect personal liberties for all of its citizens. If actions and statements by some past county staff members, whether through ignorance or intent, regarding the Trinitas project resulted in violations of the county code, this should not justify the further subjugation of the public good to private interests who have violated the code. I urge the Board of Supervisors not to approve the project, and particularly not to approve the project simply to protect the county from the behavior of its own inept employees. The county's first obligation is to all of its citizens. Finally, while I appreciate the difficult task before the current county planning department, I do not concur with the partial project approval recommended by planning staff because it grants the zoning change, which would allow all entitlements associated with recreational zoning and simply result in piecemealing into existence some version of the entire project. I support the no project alternative because it is the only morally responsible thing to do. Thank you.
So we had an agreement about not clapping.
My name's Gary Stocklin, and my wife and I live at 8109 Center Drive. We are a neighbor to the Trinitas project, and I have here a letter from one of our neighbors who couldn't be here today because of health reasons. Dear Board of Supervisors, we live next to the Trinitas project on Center Drive and are appearing before you regarding some serious concerns about Keep It Rural. It seems like they are using residents in our neighborhood to stop the Trinitas project when a lot of the neighbors actually support the project. In August of '07, Keep It Rural, Lou and Kathy Mayhew and Donald Kuhn filed papers claiming that 32 residents in our neighborhood were having water problems due to the golf course. On this list, Keep It Rural named us, Chuck and Margaret Jansen, number 14, as one of 9 residents on that list that had drilled new wells. We would like to request that the public record be corrected to reflect the following. We never did drill a new well. We replaced a pump due to old age. We told them that we were in favor of the project and never gave the Mayhews or Keep It Rural permission to use our name on this list. We never agreed to participate in hiring an attorney to intimidate the county into not approving the project. We never gave them any money, even though they asked for it. Like many other neighbors, we support this project for all of the good things that it can do for our area in these difficult economic times. We and other neighbors did attend Keep It Rural meetings. We thought it was to get an understanding of the county process and the EIR. We never thought we would be used in this way. We have recently spoken with other neighbors who were also misrepresented on this well list, and it seems like there is a pattern. We would suggest looking closely into any documents filed by Lou and Kathy Mayhew, Donald Kuhn, or Keep It Rural. They appear to be intentionally misrepresenting neighbors and facts to try to destroy Trinitas and keep it from being approved. We urge the Board of Supervisors to approve the entire project as proposed so that we can realize the much needed road repairs, jobs, and increased property values that this great project will bring to our neighborhood. Sincerely, Margaret Jansen. And now...
You have about 30 seconds left. Do you have opinions of your own?
Well, I don't get the time for myself, no?
No.
Oh. Okay, well, anyway.
Nice try.
I would appreciate this project going through, and as far as people coming to golf, my sons and I make golf trips, but one thing we look for is a place to stay. And also, we've driven the roads out there for 19 years. My children were raised there. My wife, my kids have never driven off a curb. I guess we were taught how to drive correctly.
Okay.
I'm Jeff Allen. I'm a contractor. Been a contractor in the Valley Springs area for about 30 years now, since '79, 30 years. I've got friends on both sides of this aisle, both sides of this issue. I'm sure my friends over here want to line me up and slap me back at you. But it is about economics to me. This county has been devastated for about 2 years now, economically. We can't sustain it any longer. Heard in the paper that we're $2.1 million in the red. This is one of the ways out. Is this going to take care of it all? No, but it's a start. I just put in septic systems for a living. I know that crap. Those 13 homes alone, if there were 3-bedroom systems for the sake of the math, they're probably at-grade systems. They're $14,000 a piece. That's $192,000, $198,000, whatever it is. Those are going to be like mansions. They're $1 million homes, so they're probably going to be 5- and 6-bedroom homes, so double that. So $28,000, $30,000 on those septics. Out of that, that's what, close to $400,000. Everything I buy for the last 30 years, I bought in this community. I buy my pipe and my supplies from my friend that owns a lumber yard in Valley Springs. Sender's Market is where I get my Arenco products for my septic tanks. On Pool Station Road, when I'm working, my friend Alan owns that tire shop. Buy all my tires for all my equipment from him. Next door, the fuel point. They deliver my bulk fuel to my house. Next door to them is my tank outfit that I bought for 30 years. The end of Pool Station Road is my rock quarry, where I buy my material from them. Everything I make goes right back into this community because I'm part of this community. A lot of people in this room don't even shop here. They go to Walmart or wherever they go to shop. Do they support this community? I have. I built those ballparks for those kids. My evil tractors built those walking trails up above the ballparks years and years ago. Do these people even go out there with weed eaters this time of year and help on the ball fields or whatever?
I don't know. Do they donate blood at our bloodmobiles? What do they do for our community? I'm the lowest paid person on that job. That general on that job is going to hire no less than 11 subcontractors underneath him. They all have crews. They want to be put back together, or put back to work. If we put them back to work, the wives get to go shopping. They get to go get their nails done. They get their hair done. My beautician that tries her best to make me look pretty, she says that the people that used to come once a month or to get their hair done, they're coming every 2 to 3 months because nobody can afford to. You know, young wives, that employees that I had that worked for me, they can't even take their kids to the doctors.
Jeff,
We're not the evil people.
Could you wrap it up, please?
All right. I guess I just want to say, of course, I'm for this project. Please keep in mind that I've never had my equipment on Mr. Nemey's property. I'm hoping he'll let me bid on those systems. That's what I do for a living, and I'd like to spread the wealth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Jeff Allen.
Catherine Jackson, representing the Wallace Citizens Serving Residents. Muriel Zeller has said so much of what I came to say. I'll try to skip through this and hold our group to 3.5 minutes. How's that? The golf course is beautiful. There's no doubt about it. And the fact that it is surrounded by rural ag land makes it even more beautiful. But that's not it. The only reason that you can sit there today with government authority over land use decisions resides in your police power to uphold the federal, state, local laws that would give equal weight to the private and the public sector. From 2001 throughout 2008, the public record is replete with misrepresentations, failures to enforce or make corrections. You want to make this about a beautiful family that may help the economic woes of this county, but it must be balanced and acknowledged that the county's failures in their philosophies, policies, and procedures have aided a huge rift in this community. Will the project message continue to be, it is easier to get forgiveness than permission? I truly believe that your planning department is ragged and failed for a number of years. You do not have the ordinances in place that EIR would ask you to follow in balancing the human and the physical need with the project before you. Equal treatment under the law tells us, and even logic, that a golf course really isn't a farm, but a private commercial operation hoping to go public. Trinitas brings an undeniable area-wide impact, destroying our very sense of place. This was admitted by Suzanne Kill at the commissioners' meeting. Trinitas has squeezed itself into the heart of a tiny farm road butted up against the San Joaquin County line that I could walk to in 5 minutes. This area is lined with thousands of acres of continuous orchards, farms, and grazing land. Will the last of our natural resource lands and ag lands surely fall to developer pressures? My own garbage man in 2006 told me that Nemey had told him 2,000 homes were coming up right north of Weimer Road. Isn't that interesting? Well, the right to farm ordinance will suffer eventually a fatal blow. Livelihoods and quiet rural lifestyles will go with it. A Wallace Visioning Committee met, 13 members strong. It included Mr. Nemey, some investors, realtors from the business community, utilities, even a Keep It Rural member. We submitted through Chuck Cantoni our visions and our boundaries to Mr. Harrington in February. The outcome was to keep all development, what you know of as mixed use, a community service center, completely on the north side of Highway 12, approximately a 2-mile center around the Wallace Community Service area. Now, isn't that right where your land use designations, and your zoning maps in your current general plan have placed mixed development for over 27 years. Will county land use and agricultural zoning have any meaning left for landowners and developers in the future? Overriding considerations, 5 of these are based in economic gain that is only measured on one side of the ledger. Isn't this a conflict of interest in government leadership? Doesn't the logic hold that if you use economic interest as an overriding consideration, you're going to approve every project coming before you? Look at your overriding considerations. They even have rim fees and school fees in them. Wouldn't those same fees be applicable with or without overriding considerations? You're unable to handle an area-wide impact because your county planning department has neither the ordinances, nor the standards, nor the way to measure an area-wide impact. But this, I assure you, is what's before you. A huge burden was placed on the planning department in November '07 when you ordered them to do an EIR and pretend that the golf course didn't exist. Simply read the 73 mitigation measures and tell me how many of them are really measuring the effect on the environment before the golf course. They cannot do it. The staff itself admits that it has neither the technical skills nor the staff to do so, and yet you would put 5 to 7 more years of burden on your own agencies and other agencies to measure, mitigate, and try to come through to successfully complete these mitigation measures. All this huge effort looks to us, after reading through 3 versions of an EIR, that it is simply an excuse that hides and is really about certifying an as-built variance. Is that not Humpty Dumpty who fell off the wall? There's nowhere to run. These piecemeal alternatives will not put him together. They will not satisfy the applicant's goals, and no one wins today. Had the planning department done it right, none of us would be standing before you, and you know that. Have the courage to not compound problems created by your own past staff. Violate no more of your policies and principles, and most of all, look at the ethics. Deny this project, particularly the zoning amendment and the CUP. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Catherine. Are you intending to take all the 15 minutes?
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Pat Bailey. I'm also for Wallace Citizens Serving Residents. At the Planning Commission hearing on February 19, I spoke of the overinflated economic benefits to Calaveras County touted by Trinitas. Because of time constraints, I will not list the many golf courses closed, those that are struggling, and the residents and cities that are in trouble financially and looking to their counties to salvage something out of this downturn. I have a copy of those comments for you. This downward spiral has continued the last couple of months. Everyone is reviewing their discretionary funds. When more people have to give up golf as means of stabilizing their own personal finances, the trickle-down theory is set in motion. The Modesto Bee of April 4 lists the 3 painful steps to witness the death of a business: the internet, the big box store, and the economy. The internet sells last year's equipment at a deep discount. The big box sells cheaper with a wide variety, and the economy is shrinking the amount of leisure dollars. When things get tight, fewer and fewer people spend on new clubs and equipment and accessories at the pro shop. When things get tight, fewer and fewer people dine out. When things get tight, Fewer and fewer people take that trip to stay over a weekend or a week at a fancy hotel at a golf resort. Golf courses are now cutting their membership fees drastically to replace the members that are walking away because of financial strain. That means that they have to cut their expenses, and sometimes that cut is maintenance at their golf course. Golf courses that try to make it on special events and weddings, etc., are finding those numbers declining. So, not only should this illegal golf course be denied for economic reasons, but all of the other issues as loss of agricultural land, source of water, impact on habitat and environment, archaeological resources, roads and traffic, noise, and the impact on global warming should be seriously considered. I'm imploring this Board of Supervisors to step up and move this county forward by stopping the rewarding of past bad practices to those who do not follow the rules. Disregard the razzle-dazzle of pie-in-the-sky rhetoric and golden promises. Look again at the shady beginnings, illegal issues, and the myriad environmental issues, and have the courage to do what is right for the law-abiding citizens. Deny the Trinitas project. I, for one, will be ever grateful, and my faith in local government will be restored. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Lou Mayhew. I don't envy you your task. I would like to say that I hope you have read in detail a good bit of the material that you've been presented recently, because I think the truth really is in the detail, but you have to work at it. I'd like to address hydrology. Your geocon, the county's consultant, says, although there is some evidence to indicate the groundwater levels have not been significantly affected by the on-site wells, this evidence is based on data representing a very limited time frame. Geocon notes that there is still a great deal of uncertainty regarding the availability of groundwater, the relationships between the interconnectivity of the upper and lower aquifers, and understanding the effect, if any, that current pumping would have on water levels and water quality in the project area. You've heard a great deal about separate aquifers. That's a theory. If you look at John Kramer from Condor Earth Technology, he talks about the very common phenomenon of upper and lower aquifers being connected. If you look at Ken Schmidt, the hydrogeologist we most recently had look at it, he laid out a detailed way to figure out what the groundwater situation is there. You need subsurface cross sections. You need well data that is available but wasn't used. He concluded basically that the draft EIR, the revised draft EIR as it is written regarding hydrology is inadequate because of the lack of good information that can be obtained without too much difficulty. If you look at the geocon message, what you hear is that there is not sufficient evidence. Elsewhere you will hear that there appears to be enough water to serve the existing needs. I'm sorry, I don't think you make a decision that an EIR is adequate based on those two criteria. You need more than that. The suggestion that you monitor wells after you grant entitlement to figure out the question of is there enough water now for the existing golf course irrigation, I think is an incorrect way to go. You need to do that up front before you make a decision. As I look at the map over there, I think that's misleading. The actual CCWD wells that are monitored, I believe, are about 4 of those that are shown. Now, CCWD, in my understanding, last I talked with Ed Pattison, they do have a role in taking measurements on the Trinitas property and on that row of wells just directly north. But it's not CCWD doing it, it's other people. Also, those are the wells that Geocon says haven't been monitored long enough to come up to any sound conclusions. Also, the second blue dot on the western margin and the first blue dot below the property, as I read the data from Mr. Nelson, those wells actually lost water. So again, the truth is in the detail. And I submitted a breakdown of that. I took his conclusions, said, okay, let's assume they're true. And then I looked at the detail, and it was not supported by the water tables he was presenting. Okay, let's see. Oh, I know. That graph over there, that's phantom water. Geocon estimated, and I'm going to use millions of gallons per year, that there would be 113 million gallons a year used by the golf course. The applicant came forth at the Planning Commission and said, no, based on Rainbird data, we used 90 million. Therefore, the difference between 90 and the estimate of 113 million is extra water we can use for the whole project. That's phantom water. Then when the county said, okay, we'll accept that as a baseline, the 90 million, they said, oh, I'm sorry, we want to go back to 2007 and use the estimate of 125 million. So anyway, I think this highlights the difficulty of the theoretical water. One other thing, is there a deeper aquifer? Where does it begin? Mr. Nelson would say it begins 300 feet and lower. The FEIR, or the staff report, one or the other, says that the Trinitas wells are between 400 and 500 feet. There are many wells out there that are between 400 and 500 feet. I'm sorry, between 300 and 500 feet. That's an awful lot of wells in the surrounding area that would be pulling generally from the same aquifer. So when you look at the water question, the truth is in the detail. You have to be careful. You have to trace it through. And I just don't think you can certify an adequate EIR when the current water use is based upon there is some evidence to suggest it appears that there is enough. That's too big of a leap. So anyway, I think in conclusion, I think the RDEIR said it very well, that this project is fundamentally incompatible with that area. Thank you.
Colleen Platt with MyValleySprings.com.
Colleen.
Mr. Chair, how much time do I have?
6.5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. We have submitted comments to the planning department and to the supervisors, and I'm sure you've received them and read them, so I'm not going to go into great detail about the comments. As you know, we've been concerned about traffic. That's my biggest issue, and I've been at both planning commission meetings and talked extensively about this and commented on traffic.
Just a summary, the comments we submitted the other day or last week to the supervisors center on significant and unavoidable impacts to traffic despite all of the mitigation measures. There remain tremendous impacts to traffic. Despite all mitigation measures, there's two major impacts that you will have to find in your statement of overriding considerations. Two, the costs are greater than the economic benefit of this. The county costs for traffic impacts and negative impacts on area residents will outweigh any economic benefit of the proposed golf course resort. There is no overriding economic benefit if you include the cost of traffic in the area. Our second chapter heading was suggested mitigations not included in the EIR. I'm not going to go through these. I don't have time. So I hope you did get to read in detail some of the mitigations that were suggested that would have been able to, if they had been used, to help lower the impacts. We were also very concerned with this annual administrative use permit that was looked into. There's a whole section written on that, which I don't have time to go into, but the basic concern is these special entertainment events requested in the AUP are what will create the greatest traffic impacts to neighbors in area roads and highways. The AUP is a great concern to us. The number of events, the number of traffic, this is what causes the greatest impacts to the roads. And then on another subject, traffic and conflicts with ag use. Problems result from residential encroachment into agricultural areas. Besides road issues, complaints about ag-related noise, smell, domestic pets roaming loose, and harassing livestock are common. When the Valley Creek Estates proposal came before the Planning Commission a few years ago, the adjacent rancher asked that fences be required on new residential lots to protect his cattle from dogs because he'd had problems with this in the past. I know this from personal experience. I lived out in the Clements area. I had a bulldog who insisted on escaping and harassing the cattle and the horses next door. I had to get rid of the animal. This is what happens when you bring residential uses into ag areas. In the Planning Commission meeting on February 19th, road conflicts were expressed. Speaker number 17, a project opponent, spoke about traffic and poor road conditions. In places, the road was only 16 feet wide. When he drove his horses and horse trailer, people came over into his lane all the time. He had a lot of problems. Speaker number 27, a project proponent, also spoke about traffic and hospitality, said traffic was not much of a problem except giant big cattle trucks. They're not required to fit in the lane or fix the road. So we have some issues here. A comment submitted by WCSR, movement of goods and animals will be a bone of continuing contention as visitors and residents increase traffic on 18-foot wide rural farm roads long before funds for improvements will relieve the congestion. As the EIR states, there are no improvements in the RIM fee program that are in the vicinity of the area, of the project, excuse me. There is no guarantee that the balance of cost will be available for road work in the Valley Springs Benefit Basin. This is in the Environmental Impact Report. These road and agricultural conflicts will only worsen if recreational and residential traffic increases on Hospital, Southworth, Pettinger, and the other substandard, heavily traveled local roads. Are these negative, unavoidable impacts to traffic, roads, and residences worth the perceived economic benefits being marketed? Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen.
Hi, Marty Crane, Valley Springs. I thought I came prepared, and as I listened to everyone speak today, I ended up crossing off, tearing up. Oops, there's one I don't need. And in an effort not to belabor things, but first I'd like to say that I really appreciate, I know I said this before, I appreciate our public television videotaping this for us and putting it on the local channel, because many of us can't get to all the meetings and we get to see what's going on. So maybe you haven't seen us here, but that doesn't mean we don't keep up with and know what's going on. And we're watching. So anyway, another thing I'd like to say is ditto, ditto, ditto to so many things that I've heard here today with regard to
the laws. We have laws, we have processes, we have a board of supervisors entrusted with making decisions, and it bothers the heck out of me when people come and show disrespect for that by trying to manipulate the system. And I agree that we shouldn't be here today spending all this money having this discussion again if we had dealt with it initially several years ago. Also, someone said something about the area out there being just devastating and brown and nasty, and us being the stepchild and that sort of thing. And I'm recently helping with the census. I cannot tell you how impressed I am with driving around my community out there. It is beautiful, absolutely stunning. And there's something for everyone, and it's just beautiful. And someone else mentioned how we should never turn away Disney when they come. Well, Disney went to Ione and they wanted to buy the castle, and Ione told them no because they didn't want what Disney would bring. And so I hope we do say no to Disney unless we find a good spot for it where it fits. I'm thinking that this project is not a bad project, but it bothers me that it was founded on misconceptions, misstatements, efforts to manipulate the system. And it's not a new thing for people to come here and ask for permission for something and then not get it and go away mad and threaten lawsuits. We're used to that. I long for the day when we have the opportunity to finish our general plan and our community plans where we dot all our I's and cross all our T's, and we can step up to the plate and stand up to these people. But in the meantime, when we don't stand up to them right now, they chip away at our ability to make future decisions for our community plans and our general plan. So I implore you today to please step up where they didn't step up before and honor the citizens that have made these laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Mayhew, and I am not here this afternoon speaking for Keep It Rural Calaveras. I'm here speaking for myself and for the neighbors who live in Wallace and who moved there because they liked what it had to offer the way it was. We like the open country, we like the ranch land, we like the peace and the quiet, the lower traffic, the beautiful skies, the oak trees, the open spaces. Most of us who bought there did not buy thinking it's an ugly place that we want to come in and change and make like the city or the country club that we had next door where we might have lived before. I'm actually here today partially speaking for a specific neighbor, or a couple of them. Their names are the Willses, and I'll go back over that map to show you where they live. They live on the 40-acre parcel right here that has the 7th fairway and the 7th green just outside of the backyard. The Willses, when they retired, were looking for a place where they could spread out. They'd owned a little land in Livermore, and they wanted to get further away from the city and to find some place where they had some land to spread out on. They've got cows, goats, chickens, and they were going to buy a parcel in Oakdale, and they were all set to close, and the realtor informed them at the last minute that there was a golf course that was going to be built next door. They walked away from that deal and started looking in Calaveras County. They found this lot and they loved it. And they asked the realtor, is there any chance that a golf course could be built next door? And they were told, no, this is natural resources land. It's zoned AP. There will not be a golf course moving in. And not 2 years later, the Nemes bought that property, and the flags went out, the survey sticks went up, and the process of beginning the golf course construction was right then. By 2003, the grading was nonstop, or by the summer anyway, it had gotten so much that in that part of the property, it was something that the Willses were waking up to, and it was daily. And they started writing letters to Ray Waller, who was then the chief building official, and there are 23 letters, emails, in the record between Patty and Ray Waller, and Patty and other people, because nobody did what she asked. She said, come out here, see what's going on. This isn't supposed to be happening. Where's the grading permit? And it wasn't there. Now she's got a full-fledged golf course right in the backyard. And, you know, these are golf balls that they have collected from their property. She's got a granddaughter who she's afraid to have out in the backyard because these golf balls can come by. There's been pretty much nonstop golfing for some time now. And Patty says it's like having an open house every day when there are golfers coming through. And
Okay, you mentioned that you were speaking as an individual. You are 30 seconds past 3 minutes.
okay.
Wrap it up, please.
Yes, just the zoning codes and the land use designations have to mean something for property owners when they buy their property. People talk about property rights for the developer, but the people who buy their property liking what that land use designation and zoning is supposed to protect them from, they have property rights too. I hope you'll respect those today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Nemi. I live on 9209 Hospital Road. I had some prepared comments today, but after hearing some things, I just wanted to address a few points. First, I've been called a lot of names over the last 5 years. Good old boy is a new one. Apparently, I've broken through a glass ceiling. The former planner that spoke to you, Mr. Dan Hendricks, said that Mike and I never responded to his letter. This is a letter dated August 14th, 2001. It is stamped received by the planning department. It is addressed from us to Mr. Hendricks about his letter. So I wanted to let you know that we did speak with him. The genesis of his letter was specifically about the construction of a golf course occurring. 4 months later, Code and Compliance went out on December 12th, G.J. Sowards, and they said, we find no evidence of a golf course being constructed. I do not want to go into the entire history of this project because I have too much respect for your staff to do that. And in the EIR, they specifically state that the project history is not relevant to a CEQA discussion. In terms of Mrs. Wills that was just mentioned, she received an email on August 12, 2004 that said Mr. Nemi can have as many friends over to play as much golf as they want. There are no regulations to stop that kind of use. As a part of our investigation, the county has determined that it has addressed all of the issues that it has jurisdiction over at this time. Some dispute the validity of this email because it was written by Ray Waller. However, he CC'd the planning director, the Code and Compliance unit, 2 supervisors, and county council in that email. In terms of the recreational and agricultural use of our property, one thing that I think is getting lost in the discussion is that agricultural use is not just cattle grazing. And that is why Mr. Churches has written several letters to try and explain that open space, woodland, oak tree protection is a part of agricultural use. Additional permitted agricultural uses on a property in ag zoning are bird watching, hunting, and fishing. Those activities have occurred the entire time we have owned this property, and they continue today, and they occur on all 280 acres of our property. So I just wanted to say that for those that say we've taken it out of an agricultural use, we have not, and we have the existing orchard on site. I believe those that want to talk to you about the project history or the precedent-setting nature of this project have forgotten that in 2007 you reversed the baseline and required us to do a brand new EIR. I feel that that was done because you wanted to set a precedent and you wanted to say, we want this studied from the very beginning. So you have already addressed their concerns in doing that. If there is any question about our willingness to do the right thing, I'd like you to remember that we are not a big corporation. We are not out-of-town developers. We live on this project site. This is probably the best thing about this project because we have a desire to make sure it's done correctly. As a mother, I want the roads to be safe because I drive those roads with my baby boys in the car. I want the water to be safe and adequate supply because I drink that water and serve it to my boys. I want to live harmoniously with the wildlife and trees in our backyard because that's where our son Sam learned his first animal sound, gobble gobble, because he sees more wild turkeys than he does dogs. Please say yes to this entire project so that our schools can get the money from the homes and the buildings that they won't get if that project is denied. Please tell a war hero like Jeff Allen that his business won't fail. Please tell the Escalante family that their bakery will have a steady income stream from our restaurant. Please tell the Squire family that Valley Springs Lumber will be a huge recipient of the $39 million we'd like to invest in construction. Please tell the Calaveras-grown farmers that they will have a free place to sell their agricultural products. And please, please protect the most endangered species in Calaveras County, the men and women that want to get back to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Good afternoon, gentlemen and lady. My name is Michael Falvey. I'm a 35-year resident of Mountain Ranch. I've been following this project through the media and hearing a few people talk since its inception, basically, since it became public knowledge. Today,